I'm going to shock the world here.
I'm calling for an open tryout. If anyone is watching this, I'm calling for an open tryout. I got a year of eligibility left.
Might have some.
Anthony, where is home for you?
Home is Medland.
That's wrong. All right, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just going to disagree.
While we were in class this morning, I was watching his mixtape, and this guy catches and shoots from anywhere.
Are you ready for some debate? Because Bobcat Breakdown starts right now.
Welcome to another episode of Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Christina Tsimenis. Alongside me tonight are my two analysts, Brittany Braun-Lieben and Spencer Decker. How are you guys feeling?
Feeling pretty excited. We're on the best debate show in all of Quinnipiac right now. We're getting ready to start this.
Hey, I'm excited. It was a long day. I'm ready for some debate. Let's talk sports.
Over the weekend, QBSN photographers were out taking pictures of games on campus. Let's take a look at some of the best photos. The volleyball team had their home opening weekend. They lost in an upset against St. Peter's in 5 sets, 3-2. First-year Carola Negron-Diaz switched in as the libero and replaced Vivai Kimzol-Moy. Who do you guys believe is the answer for the libero spot? Brittany, let's start with you.
All right, Spencer, I'm going to have to be honest with you. I think Vivai Kimzol-Moy should stay as a libero. Look, she had a great game against Ryder, set the team up perfectly, was able to do her job. St. Peter's, she struggled a little bit. It happens, The whole team is also having a problem setting and passing the ball. It also goes to Dama Ganesh in the centers doing that problem. I think Carola came in and helped the Bobcats set up this game and fall into a better rhythm, but Vivai Kimzol-Moy still has to stay in as that libero for the team. I think Mo had 2 assists, 3 digs in 3 sets, while Diaz played in 4 sets and only had 5 assists and 8 digs. So I think overall they played the same. It wasn't really a matter of who stepped up more, came in better. It was that I think they should have played together because Carola is a defensive specialist and they can work their magic together as libero and defensive specialist.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there. I believe that Kimzol-Moy is just really the person that has to be out there right now. And no offense to Negron-Diaz, but I just don't believe that she's really in that position to be out there right now. Kimzol-Moy has more experience. She's been on the team longer. And, they've been throwing Diaz in different roles, and she hasn't really been at that libero spot. And you talked about having both of them on the court at the same time. And I don't think Diaz is really just the person that needs to be the libero right now. Moy has much more success. 57 sets played, 178 digs, the most on the team. The next closest is Alana Giacomini with 139. She's really just the person that has been the defensive specialist that you talked about. And I just don't see Diaz really doing that. 6 sets and only 9 digs. She's just been a better person on the court.
No, I agree. And I think Carola, the problem is that she's coming off an injury and as a first year, so we haven't seen enough from her so far. Do I think maybe in the future, give her a little more time, give her a couple years, a little more experience? Kyle Robinson only said she played in 5 practices before coming in the libero for the game, so she really hasn't practiced with the team at all either. So I think if you give her time, sure, she could become a starting libero for this team. But right now, senior Vivai Kimzol-Moy is the person to get that job done when needed. Yes, everyone has off games we see from the entire team, but I think that Diaz will eventually become the libero, but for now, you have to keep Vivai Kimzol-Moy.
Yeah, she's a first year, like you talked about. Give her a little time to develop into that role, and then Moy, right now, a little bit for Diaz, she'll eventually make that role happen.
Although Quinnipiac split the weekend series, they lost the 12th out of 12 preseason ranked St. Peter's Peacocks. Should Kyle Robinson and his team be hitting the panic button? Spencer, what do you think?
Yeah, I think they need to hit the panic button a little bit, but there's obviously a lot of bright spots on this team. A lot of bright moments to look back forward on. The George Mason Invitational, they did pretty well down there. The Ryder game, they did really pretty well in that one. It's really hard to win in straight sets, so an impressive victory there, 3-1. But obviously they lost that game against St. Peter's. Kyle Robinson wasn't even a coach on this team the last time they lost. Back in 2015, the last time they lost. So I think there needs to be a little panic, but not too worrisome. There's a lot of time left in the season for them to move on and improve. But this is obviously a really bad loss for them. So I don't think you hit the panic. I think you're just lightly tapping that panic button. Not 100%, but if you look on the bright side, they have big wins at that Invitational. They have the big win against Ryder at home. It's tough to lose at home, especially to a team like St. Peter's, but I don't think that it's too much of a panic just at this time right now.
well, Spencer, I don't know if you can half press a panic button. The button you either push it down or leave it alone. And I'm saying we're leaving this panic button alone. They're fine. You know, of course, a loss last year they lost 4 MAC games. They lost it at the end of the season. You do not want to be losing MAC matches up at the end of the season going into MAC playoffs. That is a no-no. Why not so you lose a game the first opening weekend against St. Peter's? To give St. Peter's credit, they have a new coach. They're rebuilding their team. It's a new program. So we can't compare last year's, year before St. Peter's to this new St. Peter's team because new coaching staff, new team. If you go back to when they won the championship in 2022, they went 0-2 MAC opening weekend in MAC play. So I don't really think this is a panic at all. It's just anything, it's a bump in the road. The Bobcats are also just playing really sloppy volleyball overall. Ryder had 29 errors and 12 serving errors. And then when they played against St. Peter, they had 32 errors and 6 serving errors. You can't win games if you're having that many errors in these matchups. Those are free points for the opposite teams. So I don't think you have to hit the panic button. They're doing a lot of readjusting, a lot of players coming off injuries, and I think they just have to relax a little bit, figure out what's working, what's not working. It's a bump in the road. It happens. You lose a game. So what? Keep moving on with the season. No need to panic.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the adjustment on the coaching staff with St. Peter's, but Kyle Robinson, he knows what he's doing. He's a former assistant coach at the University of Oklahoma, and now he's here at Quinnipiac. I don't think those changes of a coaching staff should really be affecting you this much to lose to a team like St. Peter's. They're a new team, but I don't know how it's still a really bad loss for the team. And I know it's early in the season; they still have a lot of time to improve, but it's definitely a little bit of a slight panic.
Well, we need to take our first break of the night, but when we come back, we'll be answering questions from the viewers. Stick with us.
How much difference can one vote make? Since 2023, more than 60 U.S. elections have been tied or won by just one vote. So this fall, your friend could be the tiebreaker. And that could make all the difference. People are more likely to vote when encouraged by a friend. So use your power to decide this election. Make sure you're good to vote and encourage your friends to make a voting plan at votevotevote.com.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing to keep us focused.
A habit we never skip, to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game? To drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health. Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mental health. Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. Yesterday we asked Quinnipiac sports fans to submit questions they have about the 5 fall sports teams. Brittany and Spencer are going to be giving their analysis on each of the questions. The first question is for Brittany. At SM Sports wants to know what's been the most surprising thing you've witnessed this year in Quinnipiac fall sports. Brittany, what do you think?
So I'm going to have to say the most surprising thing I've seen this entire fall was that field hockey's first year, Francisca Escoya, scored a hat trick in the first quarter. Not only was first quarter as a freshman, 3 goals, absolutely crazy. In that game, she also tied the scoring record with 4 goals scored in the game, most goals scored in the Quinnipiac field hockey game in D1 history. So I thought that was crazy. As a first year, especially stepping up like that, that's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I do agree that it is pretty crazy. I mean, a hat trick in itself in field hockey is kind of just crazy. The fact that she's able to do that, she just got here. It's a pretty crazy impact in my opinion, and I can't disagree with you there. Francisca Escoya has just been a spark to this team. And something that Anita Klein's really been looking for, so I can't disagree with you there.
The next question is for Spencer. At Z Stokes 3773, will the women's cross country team compete for another MAC title? Spencer, let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a rhetorical question because women's XC has just been doing this again and again and again, and women's cross country is absolutely going to the moon, Brittany. Placed second at the Manhattan Jasper Invitational against teams. I think the only team they lost to is Stony Brook, and they're not even in the MAC, so it's not really much to worry about. They're already doing this early into the season. Rachel St. Germain is already knocking times off her personal record that she set last year, 10 seconds faster. Not much for cross country, but it shows that this team is only improving upon what they've done. Their team's really bonding together. Selkin and Zafina, the teammates on them, only ran 8 seconds between each other. So it shows that they're grouped together, they're working as a team and running together, and that's really important to have on a cross country team.
I agree. I mean, this team's on the rise, and I can't wait to see what they do.
Moving to the next question, Spencer, you're back up. At Nick04 needs to know which false team has the most pressure to succeed.
Yeah, I think it's the men's soccer team because after what they did in 2022, Brittany winning the MAC championship, actually almost winning a game against Vermont in double overtime, and then having the year they did last year, just an absolute fall off the earth. This is the year that Eric DaCosta really needs to prove to the fans and everybody out there that this is the year for men's soccer. They need to get back to where they were. I don't know what happened last year. It was really just a fall off the earth. The team just did not play well. And I think Eric DaCosta maybe just needs to look back at that 2022 team and look what went right and look what went wrong last year. And he needs to make some adjustments because this team so far has been pretty well. They had an amazing game today against D3 Farmingdale State College. But how is that going to translate to the MAC play?
Well, Spencer, I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think women's soccer has the most pressure on them. They already won 2 back-to-back MAC championship. Why not a third? That's a lot of pressure. I think they have more pressure than men's soccer. Was pretty bad last year. Didn't have really the best season. So I think this all goes back to women's soccer, that this is a chance to three-peat.
For the final question, Brittany, at Clever Strike has a question about field hockey. So far, QU field hockey is 0-2 in the Big East and 2-8 overall. What can QU take away from the first 10 games before hosting Georgetown for an essential conference matchup?
Right now, I really think field hockey is just having a hard time scoring back of the net. They're given these opportunities. They've had countless and countless opportunities at the penalty corner to score, but they just can't find the back of the net. So I think right now their defense is doing fantastic getting the ball. Katie Shanahan leading it. It's in the center back. We have Christina Torres, brick wall in net basically, but the offense in midfield is kind of letting her down. Lucia Pompeo is the senior on this team who's in the offensive position and is just not scoring, and they're having defender first year score almost all the goals for this team. So I think the midfield and the defense just needs to step up, play their game, and help the team out a little bit.
Yeah, this team just doesn't really look that coordinated in the games they've played. I've seen a lot of times where they're just trying to force balls through, where there's just 3 defenders in that area, and I don't know if Nina Klein is preaching this in practice, but it's not a good way to go about passing. We're just forcing it into areas where there's not really any options available, and it's not really helping the team move up the field at all. So I think that we need maybe just to reassess try to find the open man essentially, and just kind of really work your way very passively up the field. They've been scoring goals, but they've given up 4 goals against Villanova, and you talked about the defense, just really hasn't been there for the field hockey team.
Yeah, I just think the problem really is the midfield, is that once they get that ball in the midfield, they don't have options to look for, and they kind of get panicky and just lose the ball. They need to have a strong midfield, play their game, and they have all these great units together. They just have to play together. It's a problem playing together. They're all kind of playing separate right now.
It's time to take our second break of the night. When we return, we'll be discussing all things hockey. We'll be right back after these commercials.
Hate is loud. It gets clicks. It gets attention. Hate, however, is actually quite small. But love is the majority. Love fills our hearts, our lives, our everyday.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused.
A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out that self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and your mental health.
Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. If you're just joining us, I'm Christine Semenis, this is Brittany Braun-Leben, and this is Spencer Decker. The women's ice hockey team started their regular season against the University of Maine this past weekend. They swept the series in dominant fashion, winning 7-0 and 4-0. What aspect of the team shined the brightest? Brittany, you can start us off.
Spencer, let me ask you a question. What creates offense?
Defense.
What creates defense?
Offense.
No, the goalie in the back of the net. I think the goaltending for this team is the reason what's been really shining right now. Right now, they have 2 goalies for the women's ice hockey team that's been able to step up. We have Doyle and Frank, who are reliable goalies, and they give Cass more trust, and especially since last year, Logan Andres played every game but one. So now we have 2 goalies that are reliable. The command from the goalie sets the defense up. As I said before, once the defense is playing great, that gives the opportunity for offense to score more goals. So they scored 7 goals in the first game and 4 in the second game. That starts from the goaltending, leading in the back of the net, getting the defense in the right position, and getting the offense to get the goals. So, Spencer, I don't know how you're going to argue me with this one.
Well, you know what helps the goaltending? Defense. If your defense plays well, the goaltender doesn't have to do anything. They could sit there and net. They could take their sweet old time and just watch the play happen. So the defense was really the most impressive thing from this team this season. Maine had 42 shots on the weekend. That's for both games, 42 total combined shots. The defense is holding this Maine team back from allowing them to get on net. I'm not going to sit here and say that.
They had 42 shots on net, right?
Yeah.
So they had 20 saves in game 1 and the 24 saves in game 2. So who was that brick in the net? The goalkeepers.
It's true, but Kaylee Doyle these are routine saves for Kaylee Doyle to make. I would really hope if she's making these saves, the defense is allowing her to just get typical wrist shots that are somewhat easy to save, and Kaylee Doyle is able to stop them. I don't see how Kaylee Doyle is making any of these saves impressive, really. They're somewhat typical saves, Brittany.
But the Bobcats didn't lose most of their defense. They lost their goalie, Logan Andres, who's been playing here for 6 years. You have no one in net. These 2, Doyle and Frank, have been able to step up for the team and step up when needed. You're going to say that there's new defense that came in, but there are still returners from this team that helped out on defense that have been kind of in control for a little bit. 2 new goalies stepping in, that's a big risk. They never played for Quinnipiac, never been with the team, and they have had shutouts this weekend. So you're going to tell me goaltending didn't have an impact in this game?
You're going to sit here and say Kaylee Doyle has never played for Quinnipiac. She's been on Brown in the ECAC for the longest time, and she's won the ECAC Goalie of the Year. Just because he switches to the Quinnipiac ice hockey team, Cass Turner, it's not much of an adjustment. She's still the same goaltender she was when she was on Brown.
You're playing with a new team. Are you not playing with a new team?
She's playing as she should be with her new team. It's not really that impressive.
I don't know. I have to disagree with you. I think because she's a brick wall and that she's commanding her defense too, telling them what to do, positioning. She's just standing there doing nothing.
That's the job of a goalie.
Exactly.
That's the job of a goalie.
So she stood up for the team and stand up. You're just saying defense. Defense just stood there. Start to the goalie. That creates the offense. That's what I'm saying, Spencer.
It's crazy.
Sticking with the women's ice hockey team, they have 14 new players between first years and transfers. What newcomer will step up the most for the Bobcats this year? You can start this one off, Spencer.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's pretty hard to choose out of all the women's ice hockey first year that they brought in, but I think it has to be Michaela Watson. She's just been, before coming to Quinnipiac, she tallied 88 points in 84 games. And that alone is just impressive. She won a bronze medal with Team Canada U18, and she played very well over that weekend at Maine. She had 1 goal and 2 assists in the first game against Maine. And really, they scored 7 goals, but she's part of that team. And that's really impressive the first year to be able to step up. I actually think that by the end of the year, she will be she'll be on one of the top lines on this Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team. She is that good of a first-year player, and there's no reason why Cass Turner shouldn't look at this and say, this is an opportunity for a first year to step up into this role and really prove people that she could be an impact player in the ACAC just as a first year.
Spencer, I think that's a great pick. I think it'll actually work well with my player. I'm picking defender Ansley Devatio, playing solid defensive minutes to her first weekend with Kendall Cooper. You said yes, defense had a big impact in the last question, but I think that she's been playing great for this team, really stepping up when they need on defense. She played in both games this weekend, and she also had 5 shots as a defender. That's not a bad weekend as a first year. And as you said, the defense has been great for this team, and she's been the reason why they were able to shut out UMaine in both games. So I think that Ansley Devatio is going to be a big impact player for this defense, work well with your player on offense, and create great opportunities and going to help grow this team in the future for the Bobcats.
Yeah, and both of them are really young, and they're already proving this point that they could really make an impact. Both of them are going to work well together, and eventually, like I said, she could probably make it up to the top line as well. They're both very good players, and they have a lot of time to develop under a great coach like Cass Turner.
Exactly, and as you kind of said, as first years, they have time to develop. But right now, they're already kind of proving themselves. So I think this is a great opportunity. They're going to work well together. I kind of like how this question we work together with our answers
instead of
fighting each other.
How about that?
That was fantastic.
Awesome.
Switching to the men's ice hockey squad, the team lost their starting goalie from last season. Matvei Marinov is expected to get the starting role this year. Do you believe Marinov will earn the top spot, or will first-year Dylan Silverstein step up?
Well, I'm going to start here, and I'm going to take a quote from Skip Bayless here, where he says that Aaron Rodgers is good and Aaron Rodgers is bad. And that is the same exact case with Matvei Marinov. He is good, but oh man, is he bad. Unless Matvei Marinov has turned into Jonathan Quick overnight, there is no reason that he should be the true starter on this squad. I mean, he has been just not... I mean, in the games that he played last year, I want to specifically focus on the UNH game. He took 4 shots, allowed 3 goals. He had more goals allowed than saves. I mean, that is just terrible. And Rand Pecknold played him earlier in the season because we didn't know what Matvei Marinov had compared to Vinny Duplessis, who was a transfer. But Matvei Marinov was just not. I mean, he's playing in games where he's playing AIC and LIU, and he looks good in those games. But Rand Pecknold does not care about the AIC and LIU games. He wants you to step up in the big moments. And when they go on the road and they play UNH, what does he do? He does absolutely terrible. He gets subbed out in the first period. I mean, UNH is just dominating play, and they're already up 3-0. I just don't see a way that he can be the true starter. Dylan Silverstein, however, has stepped into a role as a first year where he can make a true impact, part of a Team USA squad in the Sioux City. He was on Sioux City, the USHL, the top league sanctioned by the United States of America. That's pretty impressive for me, and there's no reason why he shouldn't be at least getting minutes compared to Matvei Marinov, because like Matvei Marinov last year as a first year coming in, we didn't really know what he had. Dylan Silverstein at least needs to get a chance, and Rand Pecknold needs to know that Matvei Marinov is really not him. Noah Altman's there too, but Noah Altman's really just a fan favorite.
Noah Altman is actually the vibe guys of this team. He's going to be the 3rd string goalie. We both agree with that, but I think he's there for the vibes. Noah Altman, he'll get his time eventually, but I have to agree with you. I think Silverstein will be the starting goalie for this team. If you go to Marinov's stats last year, I just kind of brought it up, he played in 10 games last season. He played 550 minutes, and he averaged 1.85 goals per game. That's brutal, letting in almost 2 goals a game. You can't have that in the back of the net. He kind of, as a first year, that was his first year, obviously, for the Bobcats stepping in, but now he's a sophomore. I just think he still needs time to develop and grow. I think Dylan Silverstein coming in, as you said, he played for the Sioux City Musketeers, and he's transferring out of Boston College. So Boston College, he's also a very well-known ice hockey school.
Top team.
One of the top teams, and he's transferring here to Quinnipiac. So I think that he has a lot of potential. He's going to help this team really improve in the spots they need.
Yeah, I just don't see any. I mean, Matvei Marinov, maybe give him a little time. But like Dylan Silverstein is obviously really the answer right now. Team USA, Sioux City Musketeers, nothing on his resume tells me that he can't get the job.
Spencer, who do you think's going to be the starting goalie against Penn State? Because these are both great options, great opportunities for them to improve. So who do you think's going to be the starting goalie?
I really don't think Rand Pecknold is going to make the smart decision here, and I just think it's going to be Matvei Marinov because he's the one who has just really the most experience out of anybody on this, excluding Noah Altman. Because he's great and all, but he's just there for the vibes, as you mentioned. I don't think that he's gonna do what he did last year. He's gonna start Marinov when Duplessis is obviously the main and better goaltender, and he's gonna throw Marinov in a spot where we saw what he did in the primetime games against UNH. That's absolutely terrible. I don't know if he's gonna do absolutely terrible this time, but he sure is not gonna be the best goaltender on the bench.
I'm going to disagree with you. I can't believe you said that. Coach Rand Pecknold is going to do something awful. He's a great coach for the Bobcats. He knows what he's doing.
I'm not denying that he's a great coach. He made the decision last year to start Marinov, and look what happens. They lose 3 games because of him. He single-handedly cost them games.
That's fair, but I think he's going to do the right decision here. Give Dylan Silverstein the chance to prove himself. Get out there for the Bobcats and really step up and goal.
I hope he does, but I just don't see that happening.
See it happening?
Yeah.
I have to disagree with you.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with both of you guys. I think Dylan Silverstein is totally going to has the potential to be a great starting goalie for the Bobcats. Okay, it's time for our final break of the night. Don't go anywhere because when we get back, we will be giving our final roars.
I don't remember how it started. Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping, and I can't let this happen to my kid. So if you want to talk to your kids, you have to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time for our final roars. I'll start us off. At Quinnipiac, there are 14 women's sports teams and 7 men's teams. It's not a secret that teams like men's ice hockey and men's basketball get most of the attention. As a beat reporter for the women's ice hockey and field hockey teams, I think it's so important to recognize the women's sports on campus. Our women's teams are highly ranked and just as entertaining to watch as our men's teams. The athletes work incredibly hard in practice and play incredibly hard during games. As a woman in the sports field, bringing attention to women's sports is so important to me. Growing up watching sports and seeing female reporters on TV inspired me to be where I am today. Representation matters, and the staff covering the women's sports at Quinnipiac does an incredible job. I encourage everyone to attend the next women's game they can, whether it be soccer, volleyball, or ice hockey. There are always exciting games to watch, and it is never a bad thing to support your fellow Bobcats.
Most people like to talk about the big sports on campus, but I like to focus on the teams that I consider to be the less talked about sports at Quinnipiac. The teams that get attention, but not as much as they should. Cross country is one of those sports. It's a sport that I did throughout my years before Quinnipiac, and I found a passion for it. And I want to focus on the men's cross country team. This is a team that overall has not had much success while in Hamden. They joined the MAC in 2013, and their highest finish as a team was 3rd back in 2014. They may not sound so good, but the future is very bright for this team. In 2022, they found their coach. David Scrivens made a decision to step down from the lead role at Fairfield and make the trip down Route 95 to Quinnipiac to build up this program. Now, it has taken a little bit, but his recruiting has finally shown off. Coach Scrivens brought in 7 first-year runners, including Alex Saldana, who already ran 14th overall at the Manhattan Jasper Invitational. The team still has a lot of work to put in, but with a lot of talent developing, I would not be surprised to see the Quinnipiac men's cross-country team at the top of the ranks in the coming years. And my prediction that come 2027, a MAC title will be headed home to Hamden for the first time.
One thing in life that we don't know is the future. We don't know what's coming next. With this, we never know when our next opportunity will come to prove ourselves. This goes for everyone, including starting at a new school, trying a new position, or just going through day-to-day life. These moments are when you are given an opportunity, so don't let fear stop you. Step up and make it yours. This isn't just for sports media folks like us. The same is said for athletes. First-year Carola Negron-Diaz was given the chance to step up and help her team this weekend as libero when her team needed her. Francisca Escoyes joined the field hockey team and stepped up as the scorer the team needed. This can also be said about veteran players getting their chance and making an impact for their team, like sophomore women's soccer midfielder Anna Bean and graduate student Danielle Valek for men's tennis. Anna Bean did not see any action as a freshman and this year has stepped up as a playmaker. Danielle Valek helped this tennis team reach their first ever MAC championship. I want one thing to say with everyone. Don't be scared to seize your moment. Make it yours and prove to everyone you have earned it.
Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have tonight on Bobcat Breakdown. Thanks for tuning into the show. Make sure to follow us on social media at Q30TV and check out our website at q30tv.com. Thank you to the producers and everyone who works so hard behind the scenes. She's Brittany Braun-Lieben, he's Spencer Decker, and I'm Christine Simenes. Have a good night, Bobcats.